Sometimes I just can't get enough of the post-apocalyptic, demon-infested landscapes of a torch planet where most of humanity has already died. Maybe part of that is because that's kind of how I see our inevitable future in real life, but, maybe also it's just because I really love monsters. Like this guy. He's adorable. But also, I was pretty happy to see that he has embarked on creating his own fictional world. I'm always happy to see when creators make their own stories or embark on their own personal creative endeavors, to have a specific passion and to tell a story and write characters that you've envisioned in your head for years and finally giving them life. And then I'm sure also the terrifying feeling of putting it out there to the public to see how they respond. But that's a satisfying fear nonetheless. Not only that, this manga also incorporates multiple pieces of media alongside it. There's a trading card game that was also produced, and I can't even imagine the painstaking efforts that probably went into figuring all of that out and how it works. And there's even this sweet anime promo adapting the first chapter. It's crazy. And I love to see this kind of stuff, especially from independent artists that have full control over their own products without some kind of agenda-driven studio barking down their neck to make changes. So this is just great. Now, I might not have time to consume everything involved with Demon Rush, but the manga is currently sitting at a solid 7 chapters, so I binged it, and I'm going to tell you my thoughts. The first chapter is radically different than the rest, taking place in the distant future from where the main story begins. We pick up pretty much right as an epic battle is about to begin between the title character Rush and this gigantic kaiju-sized angelic warrior. So right off the bat, it lets you ponder a million questions. Is Rush actually a villain? And is our protagonist going to be morally questionable? Or is it kind of like Devilman, where we have a character who is pure that's harnessing demonic power within him? Well, by the end of chapter 1, it more so seems like the first option. Rush is subsisting on this dark power using strange magical items, and even seems to be absorbing energy from Adriel, the angelic creature that he's fighting. But it doesn't give you much time to think about what's happening because the battle consistently shifts from technique to technique. But then it goes even one step further, and it seems like Rush allows his body to, I don't think really be possessed, but use it as kind of like a vessel for motherfucking Lucifer himself, which is crazy. He has him take control of him and allow him to fight here on the physical plane. So yeah, clearly there's going to be a lot of lore to discover, but essentially the gist is that there is this war between heaven and hell, and it appears that hell is winning. I would assume that Lucifer is probably unable to actually appear in this dimension, which is why he takes over Rush's body. Maybe Rush is meant to be like his main warrior on Earth for him, taking down all possible opponents that could stand in his way, and find a way to bring Lucifer here. As a prologue, I think it works good as to gather intrigue and to showcase the artwork, which is reason alone to read this and check it out, because the artwork is crazy good. The guy doing the art is Pedro Perez, and some of this stuff looks godly, and that's not with a pun intended there, but I already said it, so I'm not taking it back. Yeah, the imagery is definitely reminiscent of some of Murata's One Punch Man style, and also a bit in its presentation, and that's not a negative whatsoever. Some of the best moments are building up to big double-page spreads, which look great, but it's not until around chapter 3 that you really understand the scale of what we're looking at here, and you see one of the angels as compared to a cityscape. Yeah, it's literally kaiju angels. But chapter 2 and beyond is where I guess you could say the real story begins. Chapter 1 is a lot of spectacle and a little bit of lore introduction. You get to understand that it's going to be demons versus angels. You get that there's going to be magical weapons at play that all do particular things in their own unique way from one another, and that there's an energy source called Imperium. But in Chapter 2, we switch to present day, when the forces of hell first began to be unleashed. We're introduced to 2 main characters, Rush only being one of them, just a normal kid at this point, and another kid named Soren. Enemies in Chapter 1, but seem to be, if not friends, at least pretty chill with each other at this point. So it leads me to believe that we're going to follow 2 protagonists simultaneously, and I really like that idea. One that gets tangled up with demon kind, and another gets tangled up with the angels. And through chapters 3 through 7, that begins to unfold. I won't spoil too much more, but the opening chaos of the demon invasion is depicted very well with the artwork. I love the creature designs and the variety of them. There's also this huge dragon motherfucker at one point. Dude, I don't know. It's awesome. One of the angels, Michael, singles out Soren and gives him a magical item, looking like an ordinary feather, but that can actually be used in the war against evil. And by chapter 6, we get the beginning of the lore dump, and a lot of it is the confirmation of the events that we were witnessing before. When the last wars happened, and about how the god energy works, that it's called Imperium, and all that kind of stuff. I also like how we included aspects of the government trying to cover up the attacks, labeling them as terrorism to hide the truth from the people. I love a good conspiracy, so, that got me. But by chapter 7, it does switch back over to Rush, his encounter with a demon, and his mentor character not being quite as compassionate as Soren's and basically just saying, hey, I'm gonna take you to hell. Overall, I think the premise and the idea of heaven and hell and a war between them is always something I'm going to enjoy. I love apocalyptic tales and epic battles between good and evil, all that kind of stuff. There's lots of room for improvising and creativity, especially introducing the various magical elements and items, which I'm sure also plays a part in the card game. There's really good creature designs, artwork with the demons. It looks like it's teetering that line of maybe mature audiences with some of the violence, but I'm not sure quite how far they plan to take it. Right now, I'd probably say it's around the PG-13 level, but it could go either direction at this point. For my own personal taste, I would say that I do want to see some more characterization from Soren and Rush. Soren does face a tragedy in these opening chapters, but given that it's only 7 chapters in so far, and with it there's been a lot of intensity and lore, I just need a little bit more character building moments, or maybe just some time to settle in with them and just kind of, not necessarily relax, but just get to know them a little bit better. I would really like the idea of having a hard time choosing between Soren and Rush, as in who to root for and who to care about more. And I know, demons are bad, Lucifer is the ultimate evil. I get it, that's fine. But if it unfolds with a real reason to care about why Rush is making the decisions that he's making, I think that could turn out to be really cool. I also would love it if eventually there is shown to be corruption on both sides of the war, to kind of blur it a little bit and make the rivalry between the two characters really complicated and nuanced. I have no idea whatsoever if that's the direction that it's going to go, but if it does, I'll be intrigued even more. I have no problem rooting for a villain if I actually really believe in his cause. But it's just not far enough in yet to tell exactly how that story is going to be told. Just from the setup, though, that's what I'm picturing in my head. Chapter 8 is on the way, and so I would say it's a good time to jump into it. Also, it's supporting fellow creators, making a passion project rather than just some corporate fabrication sequel or reboot of something that we already have. I think it can definitely satisfy any itch that you might have for some sort of oncoming apocalypse type feel. I also feel like there's going to be multiple stages to it and how it all leads towards the promises that the first chapter offered. Now, I don't know how frequently he releases chapters. I'm sure the artwork of this quality takes a long time to do, and I think it's just one artist working on it, so yeah, it's probably a bit between chapters. But the art is a major draw here, especially for the opening, so however long it takes, it's probably worth it. Anyways, guys, I would recommend giving it a look. It's not going to take much time to binge through because there's only 7 chapters available so far, so you can make up your own mind from there after you read those. If you have checked it out, let me know what you think about it, and if you like this video, go ahead and give it a like and a comment to help it in the algorithm. Also,